Oh shit. I'm gonna have to put a bell around your neck. I just out here cleaning up in the shop some. Thought I'd kind of share some of what's been going on. I think we're about done with this project here. This is the fire ring that I made. We took down to Blackie Thomas's gathering. You know, it was a grand time. Everybody had a good time. We did our first test burn on this thing down there and get the paint all burned off of it. Since I got back home, I've made a few additions to it, a couple of things that I wanted to add that I just simply didn't have time for heading down there. This was kind of born at the last minute. And I've been studying on this for a while, you know, weeding through some ideas that other people had, and felt like this was the most efficient use of space and materials, and get the best results out of it, not having to burn 36-inch logs to keep enough heat going, work out of smaller stuff, you know. And so I came up with the idea of putting two car rims together. Now these are just 13-inch 4-lug car rims that we got from the scrapyard. And they're bolted together. And the reason for that is because if you're welding on something that's going to go through a bunch of heat cycles, the weld is the weakest point. It's like scar tissue on your skin. It doesn't give. And so that's why it tears right at the weld. I wanted to try to do this without any welds at all. And unfortunately, when I get to the shaker grate, there just wasn't any other options. But it's bolted together with some 7/16 fender washers there and some 1/2-inch bolts. They're left over out of a project where I put a receiver hitch under my truck probably 15 years ago. And I just happened to hold on to them. These washers are straight. The fender washers are curved, and the curve just happened to match exactly what I wanted. Being that it's bolted together, we can disassemble it. If the bottom burns out of it, we can go get another rim, bolt it in, and done. You know, it's easily repaired. If I need to break it down to 2 separate fire rings for a cooking ring and a warming ring, you know, that's warming fire, you know, then that's what we can do. So it gives us options. The grill is not really all that special. Just welded a handle on it. It was a square grill that just kind of trimmed it down. Some of the parts were rusted, so it wasn't really useful anymore as a square rectangle grill. But I got both pieces, so if we need to break it down side by side or whatever like that, you know, we can do that. The shaker grate is made from the center of the rim. This is actually upside down right now. So you can see that I just simply cut the center out of the other rim. And after trimming it down on the sides and cutting these notches in it, it fits down inside. Really nice. The handle on it is designed to come out through the gap between the rims so that if I need to use it in 2 separate pieces, I can do that. And for storage, it goes down on the inside. I may have to take that out. There we go. We'll slide that down in there. I'm trying to be quiet. I know it's going to make some noise, and I apologize. But it slips down in there for storage. The handle screws in there like that so you don't lose it. And then when you get ready to set it up. Screws into the outside, and then you can use it as a shaker grate, keep from having to poke stuff down through the holes, and keep the air flowing. Now in that light, with airflow and things like that, this sitting straight on the ground, it doesn't get any airflow except through the gap around the sides. So I needed some feet. When we were down there, I discovered that, and we set it up on some rocks. Well, that was just a temporary thing. When I got back home, I had this old car bumper, a sub bumper. I had to replace the front bumper on my car, and so I saved this. And this is what I made the feet out of. And you can see right here, it's dual feet, it's ventilated, and just took the grinder and cut an arch right here, you know, and they set up under here like so. Now, part of the beauty of this foot design, and it locks into the rims really stable. But if you have uneven ground, this foot will pivot to adjust a little bit. And then we add the grate. Now you'll notice that it's flat on one side, and that was really just kind of the way it is. You know, I mean, there were some pieces that were rusted that weren't worth using. And so I tried to take advantage of that and incorporate it into the design. Now this is just an old plant hanger, you know, I bought it at the dollar store for $2.50, whatever like that. After we did our first test burn on this, now rim is a very hard steel, and after we did our first test burn on it, in about 4 days, you know, heating and cooling, it annealed the steel enough that I could drill it without having any special carbide, tungsten, blah, blah, blah. And this slides right down in here. There's a hole right there. And so you got a pot hook that'll swivel like this. And I think that's really pretty much it. All the paint's burned off of it, all of the impurities, whether it had brake dust or brake fluid or anything like that, all that has been burned off. And I'm gonna add some flat black grill paint, because being painted flat black, it will radiate heat that much better than just the bare steel or any other color for that matter. I mean, we learned this in controlling the temperature in a car engine. It will dissipate the heat much faster, you know. So that's where that idea come from. And I really don't know of anything else. I had a really good time down there. It's always good to get out and stretch the boundaries of yourself, you know, put the brain to work, figure out stuff. And so that's kind of what I do. Not much else to it. This was really born out of a need. And I think it worked out. I'm really pleased with it. We had a lot of high winds down there, and was able to keep a fire going without scattering the sparks everywhere. One thing I might do is, you'll notice that when I cut the center section out of the top rim, it left a lip all the way around here. And one of the things about this is you can set a Dutch oven on it or a large skillet. And I may cut some notches, you know, maybe some 2-inch wide, relieve that. I may relieve some sections out of this so that you still get, I don't think it would be a problem because I believe it could still breathe, you know, around the gap and things like that. So, but anyway, I don't know if this will help you any, but this is what we did, and I think it worked out pretty good. Kind of anxious to get out and try it again. You know, it's fairly small, but it does a good job, and you can work, you know, with smaller material, and also material that may be marginal. You know, things like that. It'll generate enough heat and enough coal bed that it'll burn just about whatever you put in there. So we had to feed a little bit of extra, you know, some good dry stuff, some seasoned stuff. Had to feed a little bit of that with it just to really keep it going. And then also because we had issues with the holes clogging up in the bottom because the shaker grate wasn't done. Had that been done, we could have, you know, managed the fire probably a little bit better. So, well, I guess that's about all I got for right now. Hope y'all are well, and I'll catch you next time.